guys hear me now? Okay. Sorry about that mic issue there. Can everyone hear me? Do I know any Mega Man besides, Legends? I do know the other games, but I mostly play the, I was always mostly into the Legends games. Hey everyone, how you guys doing? Happy early Thanksgiving. I didn't want to, stream on Thanksgiving, and I missed the stream on last Sunday, because traveling a bit. But, we're gonna have some fun today on the stream, and anybody needs help selling, let me know, and I'll help you out. Okay, let's see here. I hope you and everyone else have a wonderful Thanksgiving and safe Black Friday shopping. Thank you, Victor. Thank you, man. I appreciate it. And wait, what's your PSN? Can everyone hear me here? When will I do Saints Row 4? Maybe we'll do it even this year. I still have to finish the Saints Row 3 DLCs. Okay, that's good, Vic. I can help you with your heist at the end, Mark. Okay, let's help Rodriguez here first then. Send a super, okay, and, what was your PSN? Yeah, I'm just playing on my laptop, which I'm not normally used to, so it's just, my screen's a little smaller, too. Do I still play Payday 3? Yeah, and I still have to do the other two, heists. I still gotta do that on that, lore videos on Sleeping Dogs, yes, I want to do, too. Ideas for them. Do you know who the, what the Kuomintang is? Yes. The Kuomintang was Chiang Kai-shek's nationalist party, in China. They were in power from the 1920s, all the way up until the mid-1940s. And then they retreated to Taiwan at the end of the Chinese Civil War. I want to wish the Xbox 360 happy 18th birthday. I know it's a game console. I know it's a game console, but it's my favorite console. I'll probably play it until the day I die, to be honest. So thank you, Mr. Waifu, for the super chat. I've never, I have an Xbox 360, but I never played it as much as my PS3. I did have it, you know, back in the day years ago. I still got it. But I played my PS3 maybe like 70% of the time, Xbox 360 30% of the time. Oh wait, go to the drop-off location. Let's just go here then. I know Mario, I did hear about that. Yeah, Future, I want to do videos on Sleeping Dogs, lore videos, but I'm working on the Pecorino lore video at the moment. But if I do a lore video on Sleeping Dogs, I'll talk about why Pendrew betrayed Way. Can everyone hear me good on this mic? Does this mic sound good? Well, yeah, I will, I'll definitely be doing videos on GTA 6 when that comes out. That's gonna be a long time. Yellowstone National Park, no. Never been there. Opinion on GTA 6 getting announced? Well, next month we're going to see the trailer for it, and it's going to be the most... The GTA 6 reveal trailer is probably going to be, in my opinion, the most watched YouTube video game trailer of all time ever. That's what I think. I think it will be the most viewed video game trailer of all time. I think that within a month it'll probably hit 100 million views. About the Sandinistas, I ultimately blame the U.S. For supporting the Somoza family. If they had supported a government that gives a damn about the people, then the Sandinistas would have won. Well, the Nicaraguan Civil War was just a massive mess. You had massive scumbags on both sides. The Contras were basically CIA puppets who were had ties to the cartels and were also making tons of money selling cocaine. They were extremely corrupt. And then you had the Sandinistas, which the Sandinistas were basically Soviet puppets. So you had the CIA puppets on one side, and you had Soviet puppets on the other side. The Nicaraguan Civil War was just a giant mess. What is your mini setup? What do you mean by mini setup sensitivity? Can you post again? I'm a bit confused what you mean. Thank you for the super chat. Wait, what's happening here? What, can you explain what you mean, sensitivity? I think the GTA 6 trailer will have 100 million views in a month. Yeah, the game is probably going to take at least another year. You know, don't expect GTA 6 to come out anytime soon. The soonest I can imagine GTA 6 possibly coming out would be within a year, but that's going to be still long. What other horrible acts did Noriega do during his time as dictator of Panama? Well, Noriega was basically the drug dictator, the cocaine dictator, coke dictator, which people named him. The reason for that was because Noriega would... Anybody that was selling coke could move it safely through Panama. So if they were moving it towards the United States, they could move it safely through Panama. They just had to give Noriega a cut, and his government would protect them. What is your monitor setup, autocorrect? Oh, here I don't have a monitor right now. I just have my laptop, my gaming laptop. Because I'm visiting family for the, holidays. But back home, my monitor setup, though, sensitivity, I have, I have a, it's a monitor from 2015, 2016. It's been working always great. It's never given me any issues. I like it. I'm considering maybe getting a second monitor, but I don't really know if I need one because I'm able to see everything just on my screen that I need to see. I have a gaming keyboard. I don't remember the brand of that one. I might be able to look it up on Amazon because I remember I got the gaming keyboard on Amazon like a year and a half ago. I have a gaming mouse. I can look up the brand also for that one too, but I don't remember the brands honestly. I'm just not much of a PC guy. What laptop do you use for gaming? I will tell you in one moment. Also, I beat Modern Warfare 3 on 2011 on Veteran Response. How upset I was with Modern Warfare 3 2023. Soap's death was sad, but well done in the 2011, but absolute BS in 2023. Well, the thing about this, Mr. Waifu, is I'm gonna have a video coming out where I'm gonna rant basically about the I'm gonna rant about that specific thing, Modern Warfare 3, and how much of a disaster it was. Where was I on 9/11? What's my story? During 9/11, I lived in Queens, and what happened was my mom would always wake me up when I would go to school. I would never wake up on my own before school. My mom would always wake me up, but my mom didn't wake me up that day. I slept in a bit, and I remember that my mom was just watching basically the news all day. I remember that it was like that. My dad was at work at the time. But after 9/11 happened, there were so many streets that were blocked off in Manhattan. There was this rubble that was all over the place. Thank you, Cam, for the super chat. Thank you, Mustang, for sponsoring my channel. GTA 6 trailer has dropped. I know you're lying, because Rockstar said it was going to be December, not November. What is the next playthrough going to start tomorrow? Well, tomorrow I'm going to have a playthrough of Siphon Filter 2, and it's going to be an entire video, just like a 5-hour video of the entire game. And we're going to wrap up Enemy Front. Enemy Front has 2 parts left. I'm going to finish that up, and then we're going to start Bully. Bully people have requested out a long time. Thank you, Mustang. I appreciate it. The Jimmy P video, I'm working on it. It is taking a little bit of time, but I'm working on it, though, man. Modern Warfare 3... I haven't played much of Modern Warfare 3's multiplayer, so I can't speak on that. But I can tell you the single player was terrible. The story was very badly written. BJ Blazkowicz, is he a good Polish protagonist in your eyes? The main character in Wolfenstein? Is that what you're talking about? I don't remember him that much. I played the 2014 Wolfenstein game that was on PS4. That one I played and I beat it. That was actually that was a pretty enjoyable game, but I didn't play the Wolfenstein games after that. But I liked him. I didn't have a problem with his character. Do you know what game I've actually you know something crazy I'll actually tell you. I have a game from 2019 that I purchased. And this game that I purchased in 2019, it's still wrapped up. I never opened it. I never played it. Because I purchased it at the time, and I didn't have any, I purchased it when it came out, but I didn't have any time to play it whatsoever. And it was, there was DLCs coming out on GTA and other stuff, and it's basically got buried with all my stuff. The game that I never played that I've had basically sitting and wrapping for over 4 years is this game called The Sinking City, which The Sinking City is a detective game that takes place in the 1920s, and it's, I'm trying to remember, there's that monster that, like, appears in, like, the books. I'm trying to remember, what's the monster called in Sinking City. But I never got a chance to play the Sinking City. Hey Pro, just got off work and had the grilled cheese fries. Yes, they were good. How are you? Happy Turkey Day, everyone. Forget to break the wishbone. Thank you, Blinded Eagle, and I hope that you have a great Thanksgiving as well. Thanks, man. My day's good. I'm gonna hang out with family tomorrow. Get rowdy like Rachi, Todoraki, and motivated and loud like Ejun Sawamura. Don't judge a book by its cornbread, darn it. Cornbread? Wait, friend, thank you for sponsoring my channel nearly 2 years, Francho, Chow? If I'm sorry if I've mispronounced your name. And what do you mean exactly? Get rowdy like Rowdy Todoraki, and motivated like, I'm sorry, man, I'm just generally a bit confused. Can you explain what you mean? Thank you for sponsoring my channel. World War II topic. Which army, Well, the thing is, though, to answer your question, Lendon, one of the most evil Nazi units that a lot of people don't know about in World War II is the Fallschirmjägers. Which the Fallschirmjägers are German paratroopers, and the German paratroopers were considerably, they were very, very brutal. They did some pretty horrible things. The paratroopers would parachute behind lines, oftentimes looking for resistance members, and they would butcher entire villages. So the Fallschirmjägers were not just elite troops, but they were mass murderers as well. They did some really horrible things. The Fallschirmjägers also, they committed atrocities in Crete. I think it was Crete during World War II. Yeah, I'm pretty sure it was Crete. Ace of the Diamond. Am I messed up for shooting the hurt inner circle Russians when I could in Modern Warfare 3 if they don't respect civilian human rights? I ain't respecting theirs. No, I mean they're video game characters. Don't worry about it, Mr. Waifu. Yes, enemy front is gonna be, another part of it will be tomorrow. But for people that don't know, the Fallschirmjägers, the German paratroopers, they appear in 2 World War II games, as far as I know. They are in Sniper Elite 4 and 5. So it's both Sniper Elite 4 and 5, they're the elite enemies that you fight in that game, and they also appear in Hell Let Loose. Have a great Thanksgiving to you tomorrow, Pro, and everyone watching. Thank you, Sostin. I hope you have a great one as well. Okay. Okay, here we go. The video of me pissing off the scammer is going to be up this week, and I think you guys are going to really like it, and it's going to be really funny. My grandpa passed away Saturday. I'm sorry to hear that, April Knight. I'm sorry. Yeah, my condolences. legend, bro. Thank you. Hear about Bush Sr. and Jr.'s final call before the former passed away. Bush Sr.'s final words to Bush Jr. were, "I love you too." No, I did not hear about that, Mario. Thank you for the super chat. That was when he was sick a few years ago. And oh, I had to answer the question, what laptop do I use for gaming? Right, let me tell you right now. Second, I'm gonna tell you what my laptop right now. Hold on 1 second. Yeah, because I bought this laptop on Best Buy some time ago. Let me tell you right here. I'm just checking my orders to see, because I purchased this laptop in like I purchased this laptop in 2021. And it's been a great gaming laptop. It's helped so much with editing and playing games. Okay. It's not on Best Buy's website anymore. Walmart has it. The one that I, okay. Let me put it in the chat here. Is it lagging right now? Is everything okay with the stream now, guys? Is everything okay with the stream now? People were saying there was lag. Oh, okay. Let me put this in the... Let me pin this comment here. This comment that I pinned, this is the gaming laptop that I have. I just got myself Need for Speed 15 on sale last night. Oh, you did, DL Gaming. I've never been personally into the Need for Speed games. I did like some of the Burnout games, the old Burnout games back in the day. I didn't play much of Paradise, but I did play the Burnout Takedown, and I played Burnout Revenge. Those were racing games I liked, as well as Midnight Club, the Midnight Club games. It's crazy that Insomniac literally took Naughty Dog's playbook. MJ and Abby literally have the exact same playstyle, which is of course a good thing. The movement, stealth missions, even her utility. Oh. Well, the thing is though, is that I'll say though that Insomniac wrote a much better story than Naughty Dog though. The story in The Last of Us 2 was a bit of a disaster in my opinion. Yeah, I celebrate Thanksgiving. Can I speak Polish? Yes. The Bully playthrough will be starting very soon. I probably will do a Sunday stream, yes. Do I think GTA 6 will be a disaster? No. Rockstar can't allow it to be a disaster. Hi, Professional Lismo. How are you doing? I hope everything is going well. I recently adopted a new puppy, and I started growing my channel. Oh, congratulations, buddy. I hope that it goes good for you. And guys, check out Buddy's channel. He's growing his channel now. Check out my friend Buddy Young's channel there. Thank you, Buddy Young, for the super chat. Oh no, this is gonna be a... yeah. I usually don't like to cover very violent stories, Zach. How did the boss become president in Saints Row 4? Oh, just nonsense, Volition's terrible writing. What project, Jarrett? Oh, great. Fell here. Not much. Tomorrow I'm just gonna relax with family. What's Thanksgiving? Why Americans celebrate? Well, Thanksgiving is a holiday where you are pretty much thankful for everything that you have, and it's about meeting with your family, sitting down with your family, and eating. A lot of people meet with each other. I was in, I went to go visit my friend, and I actually did a big drive today. I visited my friend for 3 days. One of my friends that's in Maine, I went to go visit him. But when I was driving back today, what happened, when I was driving back today, what happened is I was on the highway, and I was in Connecticut, and there was a bit of traffic on the ramp, the exit that I was going to. There's like a lot of people going to that same exit, and there was a lot of traffic. And what I noticed, what people were doing is there was the white line that was like right at the end of the exit, and the white line you're not supposed to cross. And so I'm sitting on the highway, waiting for everybody just to go through the ramp. It's taken some time, and there are basically people that are just cutting across that white line. They're just basically cutting across, and they're trying to shove their way in. So they don't want to wait like everybody else. They just basically push through the other line, then cut across the white line to try to get through everything. You can't do that. That's illegal to do that. But people, free. You know what? I'll tell you something. And when I say this, I'm not trying to insult anybody when I say this, but when I'm on the highway, usually what I notice is, I don't know if it's just me, but the people that are usually the biggest scumbags of the roads are typically the people that are driving, like, the big modern pickup trucks. Like, usually, like, the Dodge Ram pickup trucks, if I see the Dodge Ram pickup trucks, or it's like the Ford pickup trucks, those are the most aggressive drivers ever. They speed everywhere, they constantly cut people off, they flip you off. Those are typically the most aggressive drivers I've seen. And it's almost always like a Dodge Ram pickup truck. I don't know why the Dodge Ram pickup truck drivers are just so rude and nasty, but it's like almost always it's like a Dodge Ram pickup truck are some of the worst drivers I've seen. And I don't know, I don't know why the Dodge Ram pickup truck drivers. I'm not saying everybody that drives a Dodge Ram is like a scumbag, but it's like I've just seen so many Dodge Ram trucks where the people are just scumbags that are driving it. So I don't know why there's just so many Dodge Ram drivers that are just such terrible and rude drivers. Are you gonna do a lore video on the Aztec goddess from Undead Nightmare? Not a lot of people know who or what she is. Yes, that is actually something I was actually considering doing. I'm in Connecticut, yeah, and yeah, it's always the pickup truck. So, does anyone, does anyone have, basically the same experience as me, that it's like the Dodge Ram pickup truck drivers that are typically, like, the worst on the highway, and they're the most aggressive drivers? Hi, Warwick. Yeah, the Dodge Ram trucks. Here. Let's get to the next business. Well, Steelport is supposed to be Saints Row's version of New York. That's pretty much what Steelport is supposed to be. But Steelport sucked. I mean, I think that Steelport was a terrible map.
You doing that?
Can you unban my main account, Kaiser 92? Well, Kai, why did your first account get banned? What was the reason for it? If Cave Johnson from Portal came to our universe, who do you think own the rights to the aperture name Cave or Valve. Cave Johnson is a character in the game. I remember I played Portal, but that was so many years ago. That was so long. Does eating junk food apply to Thanksgiving? Well, typically people eat turkeys, but you sit down with your friends and family and you have a meal. You know, I'll tell you about that, but to answer your question a little bit, oh, and thank you, Don't Deal, thank you for the sponsoring my channel. And wait, Cinderella, what's going on in the chat earlier? I just scrolled up, a bit. Did I miss any other comments? What I think will be the future of the Saints Row series, I think it's done. I don't think it's ever coming back. People are speaking like Redditors, it's making... Wait, did somebody say something bad? It was 2 years ago, Pro, and I think it was banned by mistake, or I think it was hidden from the chat. Can you, can a mod look into it? Tell me the name of the YouTube account again that got banned. Can you tell me the name of it again? The hat reminds me of the Saboteur, great PS3 game. Yeah, I actually wore this in my Saboteur playthrough. Did you watch me play Saboteur? Because I played Saboteur. I can check the ban list, but no, I was just generally confused what was going on, who you were arguing with. I didn't. Cinderella, that's... Ex-Royal Ozzy. If somebody sends something bad, let me know. Thank you, Royal Ozzy, for the for sponsoring my channel. Thanks, man. Okay, 2 miles left here. Maybe if somebody buys the rights, they'll do a remake of Saints Row 1 and 2. That'll definitely sell, and maybe we can get an actual Saints Row reboot, not the disaster that we got. Because, man, the game that we got now is a disaster. I will have a video on the Modern Warfare 3 talking about the Modern Warfare 3 disaster. I've been watching your videos for about 2 years, and I said, you know what, I became a member of this channel, I did that. Thank you, man. This is a sell mission for NMC business. I can't believe that they did that with the Story Snake. There is a ban list I have, but the thing about my channel is I only ban people. I only ban people really for two things. People can even come in the chat and they can insult me. Like, there's a guy in the chat here that was actually insulting me last stream, and I don't know if he's still watching, but he was here again, and I didn't even ban him, because I'm a big free speech guy, and I don't believe in censorship. The only time I do ban people from my chat is only on two occasions. Is one, if somebody's posting like a scam in the chat, it's a ban for obvious reasons, because I don't want people getting scammed. And the second thing I ban people for is if somebody's saying something racist and harassing somebody in chat, then I'll ban them. But other than that, people can really say what they want, and they can even insult me, and I'm not going to ban them. My moderator sometimes might ban somebody, but I personally don't ban people even for insulting me. What if somebody's threatening violence? Well, if somebody's threatening violence, that's that's illegal. That's not really free speech because you're threatening somebody. So yeah, I guess I would time them out, ban them. But my rule is I only ban people for, you know, two things: scams and racism. That's the only thing I ban people for. I don't ban people for insulting me or calling me an idiot or something like that. They can say what they want in the chat. I also had a question regarding your video on Trevor forgiving Michael. What if Brad surviving his gunshot and showed up later in the story? What do you think he'll do? When will it show? Well, the only way I could see Brad surviving is if Trevor got hit and not Brad. That's the only way I could see Brad surviving. Brad would have killed Michael and his entire family if Brad had survived. Like I said, LX, if somebody's saying something offensive to somebody, then yeah. No, I've seen people get banned for asking specific questions. I can't say I'm honestly too scared. What questions? And, I don't remember banning somebody for asking a question. Oh, here we go. Brad survived the gunshot and became Lester. Now you're spreading around that stupid, yeah. You're spreading around that stupid, fan theory. That's a dumb one. I want to play Mercenaries 1, and then I'll play Mercenaries 2 again. I played Mercenaries 1 a few years ago, but I want to play it again. If someone is being homophobic, then yeah, I'll ban them. Like I said, the only two things I ban people for is I ban people if they are pulling a scam, or if they are being offensive to somebody in the chat. Then I'll ban them. But other than that, I don't ban people for anything else. Like, people can call me an idiot all day in chat. I'm not gonna ban them. Like I said, there was basically this idiot that was just arguing with me like all last stream, and he came in the chat today and was just saying nonsense again, and I didn't ban him. Dmitry Raskolov's soul, after getting wasted by Nika, went to Call of Duty, and he was reincarnated by Vladimir Makarov's Dmitry, but extreme. Well, Makarov. This makes it hard for me to say, but Makarov honestly makes Dmitry look like an angel compared to what he does. Oh, thank you, Patrick, sponsoring my channel for 2.5 years. Bro, can you remember the average part-time job wages and average apartment rental prices in the period and place of GTA 4 2008 in New York City? Honestly, probably not. Because I didn't rent anything at that time. My parents would probably know if I asked them how much rent used to be in 2008. But obviously a lot less than what it is now. Inflation has changed so much. Some things are even double in price than what they were a decade ago. Is my account Kai Kaiser 92 on the banned account? I'll take a look in just one moment. But your mods can ban anyone they want. My moderators sometimes will time people out, ban them. My moderators help me out, but I personally don't. I don't ban people for making fun of me or stuff like that. Thank you, Soviet Union. But what I'm gonna tell you basically is that I don't care. I really don't care. People can make whatever videos they want on their channel. I don't care, really. So people can make videos making fun of me. I don't upload videos to my channel making fun of other people. So they can be stupid. They can be stupid on their channel. The last time I did a parody making fun of another YouTuber was like in 2017, and there's a reason I did that. But there's because that YouTuber was clickbaiting. But there was but I have not done any kind of video making fun of anybody for, you know, years. So people can literally make fun of me if they want. But I'm not gonna make any videos making fun of anybody. Bro, what if a video is showing where you live? Well, if a video is showing where you live, that's doxing. That's illegal. You know, they can't upload something like that. I'm gonna keep it a buck. I will time people out for stupid stuff. I will hide for racism, scams, any verbal abuse against protected groups, and multiple repeated offenses. Yeah, and that's a good policy to have, Chaz. Thank you for helping me to moderate my chat. And most of the time, if somebody is, you know, if somebody is doing something that's, if it's a scam, it's instant ban. But other times, if somebody is doing something really dumb in the chat that they're not supposed to be doing, it's a timeout and a warning, and then if they don't stop, then they get banned. But typically, you know, I let people insult me. I don't just ban people for just for anything. Sandman and Grinch. Who's Truck in Modern Warfare 3? I forgot who Truck is. And thank you, Manix. Thanks for sponsoring my channel for over a year. There's another YouTuber that makes fun of you and others. Like I said, they can make fun of me. And here's the thing: there are like videos out there on YouTube where like people make fun of my face, stuff like that, and they make fun of me like when I say and I don't mean to do that. It just happens. It's a very nasty habit. For years I've been doing it. For a long time, and I try to stop. I do. I can't. It's like I can't help it sometimes. It just happens. I just say it. I try my best not to do it. I've been fighting it, but sometimes it just happens. I just say it, and I've been trying to stop it, but they can make videos making fun of me. If I wanted to, I could strike those videos, but I don't do it because I don't believe in censorship. I don't believe that. Like I said, I'm a big free speech guy. And so they can make videos making fun of me. I don't care. I don't have any Nintendo systems, no. Have you heard that YouTube slows down their website people use Firefox? I did not hear that. The Truck is the guy on Team Metal, the LMG, Modern Warfare 3. Oh. Okay, Mr. Waifu. Read my comment, Pro, please. Can you post it again, April Zombie? And let me see, Kai wanted me to check his account, right, if it got banned. I will check, I'll check that here right now for Kai.
In case you were worried about selling these arms and them not getting used, we got a buyer airlifting this shipment.
Oh. Okay, Kai, I'll check in just 1 second. Your mods can ban anyone they want. Sure, I guess. But I don't personally... all of my moderators, every single one of my moderators are close friends of mine. So, people who are my moderators are close friends of mine, and I just get along with them really well. And, maybe we'll have a disagreement on who needs to get banned sometimes, but generally, I like to think that my moderators generally do a good job. Which I'm very grateful for the help with it, because sometimes I can't manage the chat because there's just so many comments appearing, and sometimes somebody will say something bad and I miss it. Like they're harassing somebody or they're posting like a scam, and my moderators will ban them. Never forget James Ramirez is a true American hero. Oh yeah, Ramirez. Ramirez, get in there! Ramirez, destroy the tank! Ramirez, use that Predator drone! Ramirez, pick up the sniper rifle! You live in Colorado? Because I think I have seen you. No, I've never been to Colorado. Well, actually, I was in Colorado only once, and I was in Denver at the airport, and it was for basically my in-between flight. I was only there for an hour, but I've never been in Colorado other than that. Also, Sergeant Jackson and Frost are American heroes. Jackson, yes, the guy who plays in Call of Duty 4, and Frost, the guy who plays in Modern Warfare 3. Didn't Frost not appear in the second to last mission? Are you East Coast, West Coast, or Central US? Well, right now I'm East Coast because I'm visiting my family, but where I live, I'm typically Central time. Have I visited Europe? The last time I visited Europe was in 2010. Sandman voices Ken Rosenberg? What, the guy who does Ken Rosenberg does Sandman? I didn't know that. When was I in Colorado? Like, 2 weeks ago? I was in an in-between flight. look tired a little bit, but I'm fine. Here's a crazy current event video for you. Burglar in China smokes cigar, falls asleep mid-robbery. What? He was smoking a cigar in a place he broke into and fell asleep? People can ask me what they want. I don't answer every question, Cinderella, but I don't ban people for asking me questions. There was a guy on the Red Dead stream like last week, or a few days ago, I should say, who was just arguing with me about nonsense, and I wasted so much time. I wasted so much time arguing with him. Okay, let's split up on this. I'm getting B, E, and C. How do you record on PS5? You mean how am I doing this right now on the PS5? If you want to know how I'm streaming on the PS5, is I'm using OBS, Open Broadcasting Software. It's a free program. And then what I'm doing is I have it plugged into my capture card. So I have a capture card. And I got that plugged into my PS5 and my TV, and that's how I record, just through my computer, and it streams to my computer and record that way. The easiest way to record on the PS5 and upload it to YouTube, the easiest way I found to record and edit stuff from a PS5, don't use the Share Factory stuff. If you want better editing, is use a PC. Here's what you do. Save your clips on your PS5 and just plug a flash drive in. Just plug a USB flash drive in, and you can copy those clips from your PS5 to a flash drive. Put them in your computer, and then edit those clips with your whatever video editor that you're doing. It's a great way to edit clips together. Hey, Pro, what are some red flags to look for while interviewing potential tenants? Well, to tell you the truth, Suspect 13, I've never interviewed tenants. I have a rental property, but I hire people to actually interview people for me. So that's how I've done it before. So my tenants were screened by other people before. And basically, the company that I work with, that company takes my rental property, they take pictures of it, and they advertise it. And they find me tenants, they interview them, they do the background check, credit check, all of that stuff, and then they basically get them settled in. They have them sign the lease, and then that company gets 80% of the first month's rent, and then after that I get 100% of the rent every month. But, what I would say is one thing that you can notice a little bit of a red flag on is look at what their car looks like inside. I'm not talking about what kind of car they drive. They can drive a really old car. It doesn't have to be a great car. It doesn't matter on the car. Just look at what it looks like inside the car. If you see them. I'm not saying to like peek in their car or anything like that, but if you want to know how somebody, acts around stuff, look at how they treat their own car. Just see, is their car inside of their car dirty? What is it like? Is there like, food all over the floors in their car, stuff like that, papers everywhere, stuff like that? That'll give you an idea of usually how cleanly people are going to be. Because, if you're renting out your property to somebody, you don't want somebody that's going to trash the property. Instead of USB Share Factory, you can unlist it and put it on YouTube. I guess, but then you're gonna have to download it from YouTube if you want to edit it in like a editing thing. So I would say just put it in the flash drive and then edit it that way. Oh, come on. What is this doing right here? This bike. What the hell? Oh, come on. Oh my god. YouTube will make your video extremely low quality. Yeah, that can happen too. Do you flip houses? No. Honestly, I think that flipping houses is not a viable way to make money. That's just my opinion. I don't think it's a good way to make money. There's gonna be people that are gonna disagree with me, and they're gonna say, oh, I'm rich, or I make a bunch of, money flipping houses. By the way, I'm not rich personally, but I'm just saying as like an example. There's people that say, oh, I'm rich and I flip houses and stuff like that. I think that flipping houses is a terrible business. That's just my opinion. If it works for somebody else, go ahead. The reason I think flipping houses is a terrible business is because there's so much risk involved in it. There's way too many factors that can go wrong with flipping houses. For example, what happens is you buy the house and there's like some hidden unknown problem that you didn't know about. And now you have to deal with it. You have to deal with numerous repairs, and you don't know how the market is gonna go. You could buy a house, and then within a matter of months, that house could drop by thousands of dollars in value. And then you're trying to resell the house, and you might not resell it for a profit. The best way to make money flipping houses, in my opinion, would probably have to be if you buy a house and you fix it up, you renovate it, you get rid of all the problems, you make the house look nice and presentable. That's probably a good way. Like if you take like an old house and you fix it up and you make it look modern and new, that'll increase the value of it. But I just don't like flipping houses. I don't like the idea of that because there's just too much risk involved in that. Too many things can go wrong with that. That's why I did. Don't buy broken houses then. Well, that's the thing about that. You don't know. You don't know if the house is truly broken. Because something can go wrong, and then you're screwed. You're stuck with that. I personally think a better investment instead of flipping houses. Don't flip houses. Rent houses. That's better. The reason it's better to rent houses instead of flipping houses is because when you rent the house, you're getting the money back that you put into the house. So you're making money from it. It's a passive business that's generating you income now. And think about it this way. If you're renting out a house to somebody, right? And something breaks in that house, right? And you gotta fix it because you're the landlord, the rent is already paying for it. So the rent that the tenants are paying for it, that's basically free money to fix the house too, at the same time. So that's free money to fix whatever's wrong with the house, and the house gets better. So whenever you have any kind of issues, the rent will help greatly with that. yeah, flipping houses, I just don't think it's worth it. It's just too much of a hassle. A lot of money and work and money to when you have to fix the house. Yeah, you're right on that. But that's why I stay away from old houses. You can be profitable flipping houses. I never said it's not profitable. I just said it's too risky. That's just what it is. Flipping iPhones? I would say that flipping iPhones would probably be a sketchy business. Because if somebody is selling phones and they're buying and selling phones, there's going to be questions asked about people whether those phones have been stolen in the first place. Because I'm telling you right now, if you try to buy and sell electronics, that's going to be a terrible business. The reason it's going to be a terrible business is because what's going to happen is, along the way, you're going to buy stolen goods. It's eventually going to happen. If you buy and sell electronic goods, from used markets, you are eventually going to buy something that's been stolen. It's going to happen. It's eventually going to happen. Even if you tried your absolute best to prevent yourself from not buying something stolen, sometimes you just can't tell. And you accidentally buy something stolen. And then what happens is the police come by and they say, you know, this is the item that we're looking for, and did you buy this? And you tell the police, yeah. You don't get arrested for it because you didn't know that it was a stolen item. But the police take it, and now you're out of the money. It's gone. That's the thing is, pawn shops deal with this all the time. All the time. And a lot of times people think that most stuff that's in a pawn shop is stolen. That's not true. But what happens is, pawn shops, they sell stuff a lot of times. They'll buy stuff, they don't even realize this stuff is stolen. Because criminals are just looking for quick cash, and they'll just sell whatever is stolen to the pawn shop. And the pawn shop will buy it. What's your real job? Well, I work YouTube, and then I also have rental property. So no, don't flip phones. Whose MC am I in right now? Well, I'm not in anyone's MC. Okay. Let me join you, Marcus. Hey Pro, it's been a tough few weeks. I haven't joined a stream in a bit. I hope you've been doing alright. I'm doing alright, man. How are you? I hope you're doing alright too. And it's okay, watch the streams whenever you want. Well, here's the thing about this, Diego. A lot of times, the burglar will sell stuff to the pawn shop right after it's been stolen, so it hasn't been reported yet. And what happens is, the pawn shops have to keep a record for the police of every item that they buy. And the police basically just go into the pawn shop and just say, hey, did you purchase anything that matches this description? American slang is so weird. Well, the thing about that, do you know why America has so much slang? The reason America has so much slang is because it's such a big country. It's such a big country, and not just big country, but we have different regions. We have West Coast, we got East Coast, we also got, you know, New England, which technically that's East Coast, but still it's like a separate region. We have, you know, the South. We also have Florida, which is pretty much like its own region because of just a lot of crazy things that happen in Florida. And we got the Midwest. You got the mountains. And with that, you're gonna have, you're basically gonna have a lot of different slang. The thing about this is, when I moved to the Midwest, what I noticed is, the way people do slang here is, people will say "ope" a lot of times, which "ope" is supposed to mean "oh," and people will also say "you bet" or "you betcha." That's what people will say. Nobody says that in New York. I've never heard people say that in New York. Also another thing is what I notice what people do a lot of times is people just say "I give you my word." People did that. I've noticed a lot of people do that. in the Midwest. I have never heard anybody say that in New York. I'm giving you my word. I've never heard anybody say that. But people say that here all the time in the Midwest. HOA stole my dog. What should I do? What? The housing has stolen your dog? Report it to the police, and they should not be able to hold even if an HOA has a policy against dogs, they should not be able to confiscate your dog. The only if there's an HOA policy that says no dogs, they could fine you or they could kick you out of the property. But they should not be able to take your dog. They shouldn't be able to do that. That makes, I don't think they're legally allowed to do that. I would check your state's laws and I would contact the police, because I don't think an HOA can take your dog. Even if the HOA rules say that you can't have a dog, they should not be able to take your dog. That's illegal. I would report that. Flipping used cars is a risk too, because 60% chance they have been illegally repossessed. Well, flipping cars is actually not as risky as flipping electronics. Flipping electronics, you're actually more likely to run into stolen stuff than you are stolen cars. And the reason for that is because if you purchased a stolen car, chances are you remember the person. You spend, if you're you know, buying a car from somebody, you have a lot more contact with that person than you would with somebody selling you like a stereo. If somebody like you know, from the streets like tries to sell you a stereo, he's like, here, I'll hear the stereo. Chances are you're not going to remember him as well as the guy who sold you a car on the streets, because selling a car is not like selling a stereo. But also, what happened was I ran into this guy. Basically a few years ago, and this was when I was basically this is when I was younger. I was younger at this point, and how old was I? I think I was 18 or 19. So this you know, this happened like, you know, 10 years ago, more than 10 years ago. Basically what happened was I had a motorcycle permit at that point, and I wanted to, you know, I never got my motorcycle license because I kind of got a bit scared of it later on. But I wanted to, you know, purchase like a, you know, beginner motorcycle. You know, I wanted to purchase something that was, you know, decent, you know, I guess had some good speed, but also something that was, you know, for a beginner. And what ended up happening was, I brought my dad's friend with me, who, he knows vehicles really well. Like, he flips cars all the time, cars and motorcycles all the time, and so I brought him with me. And there was this guy that he basically, my dad found on Facebook, and contacted that guy, because I don't have a Facebook. But it was on Marketplace, and this guy was selling this motorcycle. And we go to meet the guy, and what happens is, where we meet the guy, it's like it was in New York City, but it wasn't like near a house or anything. It wasn't like some place where you could like find a guy. Like, it wasn't like in an alley or anything, but it was kind of like an off-place parking lot. Like, it was kind of like not a very well-known parking lot. And what I kind of had like a bad feeling about it from the start, and the guy that I'm trying to buy the motorcycle from, everything seems to be checking out, but then, you know, my dad's friend asks the guy for the title, and he says, oh, I don't have a title, let's do cash. And he's, you know, my dad's friend says to him, you don't have a title? He's like, no. And then he says, then we're not doing business. We're goodbye. And he's like, whoa, I'll give you a good deal. No, we're not doing business. And what happened was, because I was like 18 or 19 at the time, I was a bit naive. And I didn't know what the problem was, because he was offering a pretty good deal on the bike for cash. And what happened was, I asked my dad's friend why we didn't take the deal, and he said the motorcycle was stolen. I said, how do you know? He's like, he doesn't have a title. It's obviously stolen. And so that was it. So that's pretty much it, is that you can avoid running into stolen vehicles just by asking for titles most of the time. Titles are much harder to, you know, counterfeit, to fake. So you can check that out. You can check out the VIN number. You can look up the vehicle. You can look up who owns the vehicle. You know, you can do that type of stuff. Check the license plate on it too. You know, there's a lot of things that you can check. So there's all these layers of extra security, all these layers of information that it's going to be much harder for somebody to fake. They're gonna have to create a license plate that matches the information on the car. They're gonna have to have the VIN number matching the information that's on the title. So there's gonna be just so much for a thief to sell you a stolen car. It's going to be it's just gonna be a lot harder to for them to do that. Then back in the day, like in the 90s and the 80s, it was a lot easier for thieves to steal cars. Now it's not as common. Today, thieves aren't really going to be stealing your car anymore. What instead they're going to be doing is they're going to be stealing stuff from inside your car. That's what they're going to typically be doing. And most of the time, the cars that have the highest risk of being stolen, some of the cars that have the highest risk of being stolen are luxury cars, and those cars would be extremely hard to flip because of the fact that it's a luxury car and it's not a car that a lot of people have. So it's a rare car. So a lot of people are going to be looking for a rare car. But the reason that people steal those luxury cars is because they just sell them overseas. That's what they do. Is they will steal those cars, and what they will do is they'll put them in containers and ships, and they will ship them to another country. And they'll typically ship them to countries that do not have any kind of extradition treaty with the U.S. So typically that. So the thing about this is Eastern Europe is filled with American luxury cars. Like if you look at Ukraine, Belarus, Russia, Poland had this problem for a long time too, but Poland has been fixing it in recent years. But in Eastern Europe, there have been gangs, mafias, who have basically stolen luxury cars, and then they sell the luxury cars in Eastern Europe. So that's how a lot of luxury cars end up getting to Eastern Europe in those places. And in those countries, even if you find out that car's stolen, like somebody's driving like a stolen Mercedes car in like Russia, right? It's like, good luck getting the car back, and good luck arresting the guy, because the Russian government isn't going to extradite the mafia who did it. So there's that. I thought you have a luxury car. I don't really count my car as luxury. I have a BMW, but BMWs aren't luxury. It really depends on the kind of BMW that you have. I have a BMW sedan from 2013, so it's a 10-year-old car. It's a nice car, but I don't consider it luxury by any means. So I bought it used, and that's I don't really consider that luxury. Yeah, it's 10 years ago. I purchased a car in 2017, but it's a 2013 model. Basically, import-export DLC in real life. In a way, Alvinor, thank you for the super chat. So, if you notice in GTA, when you steal the expensive cars, sometimes you take them to the docks, and they get put in containers. That's basically what happens. Also, what I will say to you guys is, if anybody is ever in Eastern Europe, if anybody ever travels in Eastern Europe, because Eastern Europe has a lot of carjackings, like, it's a massive problem in Eastern Europe. What you basically, if you are at a red light, or a stop, or a stop sign, and another car comes up behind you, and that car lightly taps your back, where you feel it, that they've tapped the back of your car, they've basically dented you a little bit. Whatever you do not get out of your car. Don't. If that happens, immediately call the police. If that happens. Because that is basically a carjacking scam. What they are doing is the thieves, and this happens in Poland, Ukraine, Belarus, and Russia. In Poland, basic people talk about this all the time in Poland, warning people about this. The thieves will lightly tap the back of your car, so they'll basically come up behind you at a red light. You're in front of them at the red light. They'll lightly tap the back of your car so that you can feel it. So it does minimal damage to their car, but you can still feel it, that they hit your car. What the thieves want is the thieves want you to get out of the car. And you get out of the car, there's two people in the car behind you, and they throw you to the ground and take your car, and both of them drive off. That's basically it. It's a very common thing that people use to steal cars. So do not do that. I mean, I guess that can happen to you anywhere, but it's very that trick is very common in Eastern Europe. And here's another thing is, I noticed a lot of people on the internet, for example, they say that people in Russia are really bad drivers because they see all these videos of like these dash cams of just these really crazy Russian car crashes. Well, that's actually not true. Russia has basically the same amount of accidents that any other country has. The reason that you see all those videos of all those crazy Russian car crashes on YouTube is because Russia is a country where almost everybody has a dash cam. The vast majority of cars have dash cams in Russia, and I think that certain places in Russia, there's a law that you have to have dash cams, certain regions. The reason that so many people have dash cams in Russia, it's not because they like to film the roads, but it's to avoid scams. That's pretty much the reason for that. People in Russia will literally, like, jump in front of your car. Literally, they will fall on top of your car, and they'll basically be committing insurance fraud. And they will say to you, oh, give me $1,000 right now, or I'm going to report this to the insurance company. So, that's why so many people in Russia have, like, dash cams. Because the insurance fraud is out of control. Like, insurance fraud scams are out of control in Russia. There's so many of them. It's ridiculous. Vladimir Putin is at a new low in public reputation because even ultra-nationalists are starting to doubt him, even nationalists and Legion loyalists. Yeah, he's definitely created a lot of problems for himself, but the only way anything is going to change is if literally he's removed from office. That's the only way anything's really going to change at that point. Are you aware that the Ford Bronco driven in the infamous 1994 O.J. Simpson car chase actually still exists today? It was in Pawn Stars a few years ago. Yes, I know about that, Mario, and I actually saw the episode. Chumley and Rick got into it and he drove it. I saw it. You ever want to play GTA 5 mods? Thank you, Yunwei. I don't know if I'd really be into them personally. If you're talking about like single player mods, I'd definitely be open to single player mods. But I think I'm gonna mess around with GTA 4 single player mods because that's one game that I really wanted to test out some mods on. I don't know. I'm not sure on that, Suspect 13. Would you say communism is just fascism but red? No, I would say, thank you, General's Alert. I would say that they are basically, extremely authoritarian governments. Fascism and communism are different governments, but what I will say about them is that both fascism and communism, if you combine both of those ideologies, they have killed more people than any other ideology out there. Like, if you just combine the amount of people that have been murdered by communist and fascist governments, those two ideologies have killed more people than any other ideology in history. Both of those. And the thing about this is communism and fascism are ideologies that pretty much popped up in the last 150 years. And yet, those two ideologies have killed more people than any other ideology in history. So both, fascism and communism are the biggest killers in history. What about monarchism? Well, the thing about monarchism is monarchism can be tied directly to fascism, where communism can't. Like, for example, you would have Italy. Italy was a fascist country of a monarchy. Would I buy a Harley Davidson? Not a really expensive one, but sure. Are we not counting capitalism and feudalism? The consequence of the British Empire is that categorically better than ideology has never been set true in modern history. Well, here's the thing about this. Feudalism is not capitalism. I don't know if that's what you're saying it is. A lot of people think that the medieval era was a capitalist system. It was not a capitalist system because of the fact that it was very much a controlled economy. But it was feudalism was basically a controlled economy meant to benefit the monarchy and the aristocrats. That's pretty much what it was. Capitalism, by definition, is just capital. It's just money. Money that, free exchange of goods and money.
Just call me when you're ready.
You know, free market system. That's pretty much what it's, what it is supposed to be. I'm just saying both separately. Okay. But look, here's the thing about this. And this is what people don't understand about this. Have there been capitalist countries that have murdered millions of people? Yes, definitely. There definitely have been capitalist countries that have murdered millions of people. But there is a difference between a communist country and a capitalist country. The difference, do you know what the difference between a communist and capitalist country is, other than the economics of it? Other than, like, free market versus controlled economy? The difference between a capitalist country and a communist country is that a communist country is always going to be a dictatorship. Every single time. Always. There is not one communist country that is not going to be a dictatorship. It's always going to be a dictatorship. It's always going to be an authoritarian regime. Some communist countries are more brutal than other communist countries, but every single communist country is always going to be a dictatorship. Capitalist countries, they can be anything. They can be a democracy, they can be a dictatorship, you know, they can be a corrupt republic, or a monarchy. So really, capitalist countries can really be anything. Democracy, dictatorship, monarchy, where a communist country is always going to be a dictatorship. That's basically the difference between them. Capitalism is mostly an economic system. That's what it is. It's an economic system. Communism, on the other hand, is an ideology. Communism is not just an economic system, it's an ideology. It's defining on how society is supposed to act. It's defining on the type of laws that society is supposed to have. So it's more than just an economic system. It's an entire ideology. Okay. Okay, I can help whoever else needs help next. No, I haven't, Ian. I'm not Balkan. Help Marcus here. Have I ever had duck? I don't know. Maybe. I don't remember it. The foundation of communism, as written by Marx, is a true democratic and fair society. I love to see genuine people actually see that dream through. Here's the thing about this, is Karl Marx even stressed the dictatorship of the proletariat, which was meant to be a dictatorship that was supposed to be benefiting the working class. So even Karl Marx admitted that communism was going to be authoritarian in nature. But here's the thing about this. The reason that every single communist country is a dictatorship, the reason it is because you cannot have a system where the government completely controls the economy, basically controls the economy, and not just that, but controls the classes, where everybody is just one class, and the government limits how much money you can make. You can't have a system where the government limits how much money you make without it being a dictatorship. It's just going to be a dictatorship by default. You can't have a system like that. So that's why pretty much every single communist country is going to be a dictatorship. The other thing that I will say is one massive mistake that people also make is that people oftentimes say that fascism is capitalism, when that's not true. Fascist countries, their economies are very much controlled economies. They're not communist, but they're not I wouldn't call them capitalist either. The different fascist countries that have existed in history, their economies are different, obviously. But if you look at, for example, Germany, during World War II, Germany was very much a controlled economy. The government controlled the economy. The government controlled all big businesses. Big businesses existed in Nazi Germany, but they were supposed to report to the government. The government controlled that. So, I would not call, I would not say that fascist countries are capitalist. They're still very much controlled economy. What's the difference between communism and fascism? Communism in nature is supposed to basically be equality of everyone. The working class works together. There's not supposed to be any kind of class struggle. Everyone works together towards a better society. You're supposed to be helping your neighbor in a communal environment. Pretty much hand in hand, everybody's supposed to be helping each other. That's pretty much what communism is supposed to be, but we know that that's not how it works in every single country. It's been tested in. Fascism is basically extreme ultra-nationalism, an extremely ultra-nationalist authoritarian government. That's pretty much what it is a ultra-nationalist authoritarian government that typically is also very imperialistic, wants to conquer other territories. Pretty much every single fascist country that has existed has been imperialist. Every single one. The only fascist country that I think hasn't invaded somebody has been Spain. I think that was the only one. But Spain has supported Germany invading other countries during World War II. So that's what I would say. So fascism by nature is an imperialist ideology. It is. Because it's an ultra-nationalist authoritarian ideology. They believe that they are the best country in the world. They believe that they are superior to the people around them. And they believe that they have the right to control others. I would say that they're, in my opinion, I would say that both fascism and communism are both disgusting ideologies. If you were to ask me which one is worse, I would say probably fascism is probably worse than communism, because fascism literally, fascism will exterminate people, basically, that they don't like. Communist countries kill a ton of people, but fascist countries will just exterminate people based on their ethnicity, like wipe out entire peoples. That's the thing about that, is that when Poland was a communist country, at least Poland still existed, and Polish was still a language, where when Poland was controlled by Nazi Germany, they basically saw Polish people as inferior to them, and they were eventually going to wipe out all Polish people. Okay, let's go to next business. Explain China then. China is a very confusing system. China, I would say that China, the way their government is run, it's run like a communist country, but its economy is very much capitalist. Well, here's the thing about this, Drifter kids, what I'll tell you about this. One of my professors in college, he said something to me that I will never forget. I'll never forget this. Well, he said it to the class. And what he said was, he said that capitalism is not a perfect system. It has its problems. It has issues, definitely. But it's far better than everything else that has been tried in history. And when you think about that, that is absolutely true. 100%. Is capitalism a perfect system? No. Does capitalism do stupid things? Sure. There's definitely dumb things that happen under capitalism. But it's still vastly superior. Better, much better than anything that has been tried in history. Because I can't think of any other system that's honestly better. I can't. There's not one system I can think of that's better than it. Argentina just elected a libertarian leader after being socialist for so long. I heard about that. I know about that, yeah. There are actually very few libertarian leaders out there. Very few in the world. So that's very rare that Argentina elected a libertarian as their president. What I'll say about that is libertarians are probably one of the few political parties that are purely capitalist. That's what I would say about them. Because almost every political party supports some regulation of the economy, some more than others, but libertarians support very little to almost no regulation of the economy whatsoever. So I would say that libertarians are one of the few people that are actually true free market capitalists. Happy Thanksgiving, Pro. Thank you, Dennis. Thank you for the super chat. Purely capitalism is great. It depends. I'll give you two examples, right? About two examples, and both of these examples are going to be explaining different points, different angles on this. Sometimes I wish America was more of a capitalist country, because if America was more of a capitalist country, do you know what that would mean? That would mean that there would be no property tax. No property tax whatsoever, because I'm very against property tax. I don't like property tax. I don't think property tax should exist. That's my view on it. And the reason I don't like property tax is because I see property tax as basically you paying rent to the state. That's the way that I personally see it, and I don't think it should exist. And if you didn't have property tax, then you would truly own your property. Because if you have property tax, when you really think about it, do you really own your property? You don't really own your property. You don't. Because if you don't pay the property tax, the government is going to take your property away from you. So that's what I would say is I wish that property tax would be gotten rid of. However, though, I will say this, is on the other side of the angle, too. If you have, like, a complete, pure capitalist system also, it's going to be disaster also. Because I would say that unrestricted capitalism, just completely unrestricted, no regulation, no laws whatsoever, is evil. I would say that unrestricted capitalism is like a rabid dog in a way, too. That's what I would compare it to. Because capitalism, while it is the best economic system it is, there needs to be some regulation, some limits. Because if you don't have any regulation and nothing whatsoever, then you are basically going to have a situation like the Industrial Revolution. That pretty much happened. This happened in America. This happened during the time of Red Dead Redemption 2. You had little kids working in coal mines and cutting their hands off. You would have stuff like that. You would have people working 6 days a week, 12-hour shifts with no break, nothing whatsoever, and they would barely have enough to pay the bills. So that's what I would say is I think that the ideal system is a capitalist system with some limits. That's what I would say is probably the best system. I think if the government stayed out of the economy, I think that would probably be the best. but sometimes the government does need to get involved in certain aspects. Income tax, property taxes, theft. I don't like income tax. I don't like property tax. I don't like those. Let me see here. Well, I mean, I don't think it's really, because I was mostly talking about the economy. I don't think I was talking about political, except at least I hope I tend to stay away from that. Secularism has nothing to do with capitalism. Secularism is basically the state being neutral in religious affairs. Thoughts on anarcho-capitalism? Anarcho-capitalism is stupid. There is no government. You're just gonna have absolute chaos. You know the thing about that? I'll tell you something. There was actually an anarchist club that was at the at my college, like a club of like of anarchists, and these were not like these anarchists were anarcho-capitalists, because typically you have two groups of anarchists. You have the anarcho-capitalists, and then you have the anarcho-communists. The anarcho-communists are the biggest idiots, but the anarcho-capitalists are also kind of stupid. But basically, I talked to one of the anarcho-capitalists once in my college, like many years ago, and I asked him like a few questions that basically made it seem how stupid the whole idea of anarchism is, and I gave him like an example, and I told him, if there is no police, what's to stop somebody from like, stealing your car or something like that? And you know what the anarchist told me? He's like, oh, you are responsible for your own car and you'll protect your own car. And I said to him, wait, like, listen, I fully support the right to self-defense. If somebody's trying to take your property, I believe you have the right to stop them. I believe in self-defense. I believe in protecting your property. I have nothing against self-defense. But my point is, what I was saying to him is that if you have no police, largely, like, no police whatsoever, is you are going to have people who are going to just take advantage of the situation and commit as many crimes as they possibly can. And I gave him an example, and I told this guy, I'm like, listen, I told the anarchist, I'm like, oh, I gave him an example. Let's say that some guy steals my car while I'm sleeping, right? He takes my car from my driveway, just steals it, and I have a GPS tracker in the car. I know where the car is, and I have the guy's location. What am I supposed to do if there's no police in an anarchistic society? And you know what he tells me? He tells me, oh, you go to the guy's house, and you beat him up, and you get your car back. It's like, oh, yeah, that's what I'm supposed to do, right. Yeah, that is a stupid thing, because first of all, you don't know how many thieves are even going to be at the house in the first place, and it's a perfect example for the police. You tell the police where your stolen car is, and you go to the house, and the police get your car back for you. But I would tell you the stupidest thing that I've heard an anarchist say, this is like the stupidest thing ever, is I asked an anarchist once, I was like, how do you plan on like creating an anarchist society? Like, how are you even gonna do that? Like, how is that, because there's always gonna be a government by nature, but like, how are you going to just get rid of the government in general? And the anarchist tells me that the people would build a big military-industrial complex, and that they would overthrow the tyrannical government, and then there would be no government. And I would say to him, so the anarchist's plan is that they would build a giant like military-industrial complex, and then they would overthrow the government. And I would say to that is, if somebody builds a giant military-industrial complex to overthrow the government, that military-industrial complex is going to be the next government. Once you overthrow the government, they're going to be the next government. So if you have a bunch of armed anarchists that overthrow the government, they become the next government by default. That's literally that's how stupid these people don't think. They're like, oh, we need to build a big army to overthrow the government, and then that big army afterwards is going to be the government. It makes no sense. And here's the thing about this is, if you have an anarchistic society, do you know what's going to end up happening? Do you know who the next government is? The giant corporations. Large giant corporations like the banks, giant stores will hire their own private police. They will do that. They'll hire their own private police to police their buildings. And then their police will extend further and further. They will be the next government. The large corporations will be the next government. So that's how stupid anarchism is. It makes no sense. It's completely illogical. It goes completely against human nature because there is always going to be some form of government. It's just complete stupidity. It's nonsense. So they're being Ultor basically. If you did not have a government, you would have companies like Ultor. Companies like Ultor would pop up if you had no government. That's exactly what would happen. Railroads have their own company police with state and federal powers. I don't know if they do today, but back in the day, in like the Western time, yes, they did. But you guys want to know some? So that's why anarchism is so stupid. Is you know, anarchists constantly talk about overthrowing the government, which first of all is a crime, but they don't even have a plan for it. They don't even realize that their group that would overthrow the government would be the next government in the first place, and there would just be continuous governments popping up. Mark, I can help you with your bounty. It's stupid. It's dumb. My teacher, he destroyed an anarchist once because I remember that I was taking a criminal law class, and my teacher asked the class, "Does anybody here think that anarchy is a good idea?" One kid says that he thinks anarchy is a good idea, which, first of all, I don't even know why you would be in a criminal law class if you're an anarchist, because you don't believe in laws in the first place. But anyways, about it, is, my teacher asked this anarchist kid, he asked him, you know, what town do you live in? And the town that he said is like a town that's 20 minutes from the college. And my teacher said to him, if you had anarchy, you would not get to this school alive. 20 minutes from here. And the kid's like, what do you mean I wouldn't get here alive? And the teacher said, there'd be no traffic signals. You would have no traffic signals, you wouldn't be able to get through any intersection without a single crash. There would be no stop signs, none of that stuff would not exist without the government. You wouldn't have paved roads. You would not get here alive, within, like, driving to the school of anarchy. That's the thing is, the roads, they come from somewhere. The street lights, the stop signs, all the infrastructure, the bridges, the train tracks, they come from somewhere. The government builds that. There is, that. Yeah. I tried to, let me hear, yeah, it doesn't make any sense. You know, I'm not one of those people that, like, I'm not one of those people that's like, oh, I want the government to hold my hand in everything. No, I want the government to stay out of my life. You know, I like really small government. I want the government to personally stay out of my life. I like low taxes. But at the same time I don't want it to be, you know, anarchy, where there's no rules and nothing whatsoever. That's just stupid. That's dumb. Hey, Pro, you forget to add me. I actually tried to add you, OVR, or GOAT. I tried to add you, but when I put in your name, nothing came up. I didn't forget. But I'll try to add you again. Maybe you made a mistake last time when you gave me your name, but when I put your name in, nothing came up. Let me see here. Mark, is Mark still in this session? Is he still here? He is. Mark, invite me to your heist and I will help you. What if the government had the power to spy on your phones, CTOS like? They already do. The government already spies on your phones. That's what the Patriot Act is. What about Sweden's democratic socialist government? Sweden is not a socialist state. People think that Sweden is a socialist country because of its generous welfare programs, its universal health care, its universal education. People think that Sweden is a socialist country because of that. Sweden is not a socialist country. It's still very much a capitalist country. If you want to know what country is a socialist country, it's Venezuela. That's an actual socialist country. Invite me to the heist, Mark, and I'll help you out here. Do I think it's a stupid act? Yes. I don't, I value privacy a lot. I'm a very big supporter of privacy. And I'm a very big, and I'm a big constitutionalist. I'm really big into the Constitution. And, basically, the people who defend the government spying on you, they defend the Patriot Act, they usually say two things. When I've argued with people, all the time on this. The people who defend the government spying on you and listening in on your phone calls, they typically have two arguments most of the time. Their first argument is, if you have nothing to hide, then you shouldn't care about the government, listening in on your phone calls. But it's not about having anything to hide. It's about the fact that the government has no business listening in on your phone call in the first place. What is the target here? Diamonds. Okay, Mark, do you want to do this with 3 people? We could try to do this with 2 people. This is completely up to you. Okay, whatever you want to do. It's your heist. So that's what typically people will typically say that. They will typically say, oh, if you have nothing to hide, you shouldn't have to worry about the government spying on you. But like I said, it's not about having something to hide. It's about the government has no right to listen in on your phone calls. If we're gonna be using that exact same logic, listen, if we're gonna be using that same logic, right? The government has the right to spy on my phone or your phone because we have nothing to hide. Then that means we should have the right to spy on the government's phone. We should have the right to listen in on the government's phones if they have nothing to hide. If we have nothing to hide and they can listen on our phones, then by that same logic, we should have the right to listen in on their phones if they have nothing to hide. But if you spy on the government and you tap their phones, you get arrested. That's a crime. But yet the government violates your privacy by literally spying on you unconstitutionally whenever they feel like it. That's what the NSA does. That's what Edward Snowden revealed. And the second argument that these people do, and I'm not advocating, Lester's so annoying, and I'm not advocating, like, spying on the government or anything like that. That's obviously a crime. But, I'm just using the same logic against them. When these people say, oh, you have nothing to hide, so you shouldn't have to worry about the government listening on your phone calls, well, can't we make the same exact argument back to the government? But no, the government won't let you listen in on their phone calls, but they expect to be able to listen on your phone calls whenever they please. And the second argument that people make typically when they defend the government spying on you is they will say that in the Constitution there is no guarantee of privacy. That's actually false. That's not true. There is a guarantee of privacy. Do you know where the guarantee of privacy is? The guarantee of privacy is the 4th Amendment to the U.S. Constitution, and it's the right. It prevents illegal search and seizures. And the government listening in on your phone call whenever they want, that is an illegal search and seizure. That is what that pretty much is. I guess they're not seizing anything, or, I guess they're seizing your phone records. But it is a search, technically. When they're listening on your phone calls, that technically is a search. So that's, so they are violating the Constitution by spying on you like that. But the government ignores that. Yeah, the government ignores a lot of stuff. Don't take out any more cameras.
You can't shoot down many cameras. It's the kind of thing security tends to notice. Heads up, CCTV ahead. The stun gun should disable the camera for a while. Or go old school and time your run. Hey, before they go to the vault, today's takings are stored near where you are. It's up to you, but might be worth a detour. It's a 2-room system. One of you needs to hold the access button in the security room, the other runs through and grabs the cash.
Okay, I'll get this here.
The cash is on the cart. Don't get distracted. This is just a starter.
I just took a political compass test and I landed in libertarian left moderately. As a Gen Z American, I'm happy with that. There's nothing wrong with being a libertarian. Libertarianism is generally a fine ideology to have. I would just say that, like,
CCTV ahead. The stun gun should disable the camera for a while. Or go old school and time your run. Only one way down from here. One step at a time.
I wish there was a way to mute Lester. It's so annoying.
Remember, these people aren't idiots. If you fry too many cameras at once, security will know something's up.
Oh, I missed Mr. Waifu's super chat. I'm sorry. Thank you, Goat, and I'll try to add you, later. The anarchists give me Saints Row reboot energy. I guess. The thing about this is, when I met like these kids that were I'm gonna mute Lester here because he's just getting so annoying. Basically when I met like these anarchist like college students, right? This is something that happened like you know, many years ago. This is when I was like 18, 19, so like over 10 years ago. And you know, these guys were the exact same age as me. I highly doubt that those people that are like those same 18, 19-year-olds, you know, they're 29, 30-year-olds today. I highly doubt that they're still anarchists. That's like something that happens to like young kids, like kids like getting into college, high school. They're like, "Oh, they're an anarchist." They think that that's cool and everything like that. I can't imagine anybody being like an adult and thinking that that's actually like a good ideology to have. That's just stupid. Okay, I'll take a look at it after a Goat.
I know this is a special moment for you down there, but trust me, it's about to get a lot more special on the other side of that door. Break out the laser drill, let's do this! The lock mechanism should melt like butter. You just need to...
But yeah, you know, going back to what I was saying about privacy, basically, is I'm not advocating spying on the government, by the way. And spying on the government is wrong, but so is the government spying on people. That's wrong as well. So nobody should be spying on anybody. You know, people shouldn't be spying on the government shouldn't be spying on the people. But if the government is going to be basically saying that people have nothing to hide, then that exact same logic could be used against them. And people should have the right to have the government's phone records then, by that same reasoning. I'm getting everything on the left, by the way. I wouldn't be surprised, if they later became part of Antifa. You'd be surprised how many kids join. Well, a lot of these kids join extremist groups when they're in college. They think that they have some kind of belonging in these groups.
That if the alarm goes off in here, they'll flood the place with nerve agent? No? Okay, well, I'm mentioning it now.
Okay. I really regret giving a super chat to someone who I thought was cool on my birthday 2 years ago and turned out to be an evil person. He would... Well, I'm sorry that happened to you, Mr. Waifu. Usually just those toxic people like that, it's best to just ignore them. And just forget about them. Bro, if Venezuela is socialist, and so is Nicaragua. Nicaragua is a socialist country, I would say, also. You're a very chill YouTuber. I really enjoy your videos, and I hope you're having a good day, professional. Thank you, Duville. And I hope that you don't, I hope that you cut contact with that person, Mr. Waifu, but don't, you know... If somebody screws you out of money, the worst possible thing that you can do is get physical with them. Don't ever do that. Don't do that. I'm not sure. This is another person's heist, so I don't know how they got diamonds. I think he has GTA Plus. I think that's the reason that there's diamonds here. There's a diamond still floating there. 15 seconds, everyone leave. Oh, okay, no handheld drill. Okay, let's just leave then. Once you're done with that.
40 seconds.
I'm gonna be playing Bully this month, yes.
Seconds before the failsafe alarm, so make the most of it. In and out undetected. Who'd have thought it? People, that is the mother lode. We cleaned them out.
Would you rather live in the Soviet Union or communist China? It's a very hypothetical question. I would say, what do you think about alternate history? I don't like alternate history because you can't really ever speculate on what would happen. History is so unpredictable.
There it is. Well, that took its sweet time.
I would say the worst time period to live in the Soviet Union would be Stalin's USSR. And the worst time to live in China would be under Mao Zedong. Oh no. You ran past the guard, he spotted you. That guard, you have to kill that guard. You can't run past that guard, it's in the middle of the room. I think we the people should have maximum transparency of our government activities, though there would be exceptions like national security. Yeah, I would agree with you generally. I would think the only time
You really cleaned up down there, you know?
the government should never be allowed to spy on citizens. I don't agree with that. I don't think the government should ever be able to do that. The only time I would support the government tapping somebody's phone is if the government goes it through the proper legal process. If they go through the proper legal process, they get a warrant, they have probable cause, they have a reason to believe that that person's a criminal, gangster, whatever, and they're trying to listen on their phone to arrest them, that's fine. They went through the proper legal process, and it's only for, you know, a gangster, a criminal. But if they're, like, spying on literally, like, every single, you know, person like they're doing right now, that's just stupid. You know, just flipping through different phones, listening in on people's conversations. No, that's dumb.
But you can still make it out undetected if you do exactly what I say. If you're caught now, the shit really hits.
Do you think communism is a good idea but will never work in practice? Communism sounds nice on paper, it doesn't work in practice, but it's not just that. It's not just that though, dude. It's the fact that communism by nature just does not work. It doesn't. And I'll give you a perfect example of why communism by nature does not work. If I have communism does not drive advancement. It does not drive what's the word that I'm looking for? What's the word when you have progress in just everything from technology to healthcare? What's the word for that when you have like progress in technology? There's like a word for it, I think. Innovation. That's what I was looking for. Thank you guys. Communism is basically the opposite of innovation. There is not going to be innovation under communism. Will communist countries invent new things? Sure, they might invent new things occasionally, but they're gonna have a lot less innovation compared to capitalist countries. Like, for example, whenever communist countries invent something, they copy something off another country. Have you noticed that? How many times communist countries copy something off another country? Like, the Soviet Union tried to make a rip-off Coca-Cola. They did. Why don't you actually make your own Coca-Cola instead of trying to make a rip-off soda? The Soviet Union, they also did a rip-off the Concorde jet. So when the West made the Concorde jet, which is like the fastest passenger jet in the world, the Soviet Union made their own rip-off of that. So literally, they're gonna copy off of other countries because they have a lack of innovation in their own country. The reason that communist countries have a lack of innovation is because there's a lack of incentive. There's a lack of of a reward, of a willingness to do something. North Korea made a rip-off McDonald's too. Yep, they did. They did. You're right on that, Mr. Waifu. Thank you for the super chat. Don't go up this street. Let's get us out of here. The USSR also copied the US nuclear program in the 1940s. Yeah, well, that's more weapons, but I see your point too. But look, here's what I'll tell you guys. If I have, let's say that I have two career choices in front of me, right? And I can either be a scientist or a garbage man. And when I say this, I'm not mocking garbage men at all. I'm not. Because garbage men are a good job. You do make a good living from it. However, though, if I had the choice, if I lived in a communist country, and I had the choice, would I rather be a garbage man or a scientist, I'd rather be a garbage man. Because I'm still making a livable wage, and I don't have to go to school, be a scientist, go through all these courses, and for what? If I'm making the exact same wage as somebody else, like somebody that's a janitor, for example, or a garbage man, and I'm not trying to attack these jobs. I have respect for people that work at everything. But the point that I'm making is that, like, if somebody's like a janitor, you don't really need to go to school for that. You know, it's custodian, you know, I guess you learn proper cleaning, you know, you learn how to clean things in a way, but if you're like a scientist, you know, you go to college for that, you go to several years of schooling, same thing to be a doctor. You go several years of schooling, you get all these advanced degrees, you learn about different medicines and stuff like that, and if those positions are getting paid the exact same amount, like for example in Cuba, do you know who the richest people in Cuba are? Taxi drivers. Taxi drivers get the most amount of money in Cuba. They make more money than anybody, than doctors, lawyers, scientists, anything. The reason that taxi drivers get so much more money than everyone else in Cuba is because of all the tips. Because tourists go to Cuba, and they get into the car with a taxi driver, and they give the taxi drivers generous tips. And that's why the taxi drivers have so much more money in Cuba than everybody else. But just think about that, like, what's the point of, like, pursuing any kind of college degree in a communist country? What is the point of that? If you're not gonna get a big reward for that, if you're not gonna get a big payout for that, there is a lack of incentive. Now look, if you want to be a doctor, for example, I believe that you should be a doctor primarily because you want to help people. I don't think you should be a doctor primarily because you want money. However, though, is that if you have a system where doctors are going to be paid the exact same amount of custodians, you are going to have less doctors. It's just going to happen. Because people are not going to want to put in the effort to be a doctor, all that work, all that schooling, if they are going to be paid the exact same amount as a custodian. That is why communism by nature does not work. That is why communism does not drive innovation. That is why communist countries copy stuff. They rip stuff off of capitalist countries all the time because they have nothing to invent themselves, because there's no reward for it. You don't get a reward for it. When you invent something, you don't get a reward for it. Why do people invent, like, cures for diseases, for deadly diseases? You know, obviously they want to help people, they cure people, sure. But the people who invent those cures, those treatments for those deadly diseases, they get tons of money. They become millionaires. There's an incentive. They know that if they develop a cure for this disease, they're going to get paid a lot of money for that. And so there's a race then between different companies to create the best medicine possible for a thing. But if you then don't have that innovation, you don't have that competition, what's really the purpose? Is you're just going to have the government trying to micromanage everything, and it's going to be a disaster. That's why communist countries can't invent stuff. That's why they're constantly ripping stuff off other countries. And I've talked to communists before. I've argued with communists. And they, in their minds, they think that people will do everything out of the goodness of their heart. They think, oh, people will create, you know, cures for deadly diseases out of the goodness of their heart. You know, they think they'll make the best car in the world out of the goodness of their heart. And there are kind people out there, don't get me wrong. But, and I'm not, and when somebody designs a car, like an affordable car that everybody can buy, like a really good car, then they're designing that car to help people. You know, when somebody designs a car, They obviously designed that car for it to be comfortable, for people to enjoy the car because they want to be proud of their work, but they also want to make money from it. So then what's the point of designing a really good car for everybody if you don't get a reward for it, if you don't get anything for it? Like, it's like, think about it at work. Why do people work hard at their jobs? Because they want a promotion. They want to advance their careers. They want to go somewhere. They don't want to just be stuck in the same position. And what happens is, if their boss is being a scumbag to them, they look for another job. And they try to find another job that pays them better, and then they just leave the job and go to the other job. But in a communist country, you don't have that competition. In a communist country, you can't just quit. People don't know that. In communist countries, you can't just quit. You can't just tell your boss, I want a raise. And if your boss doesn't want to give you a raise, you're like, oh, that's it, I'm resigning, I'm quitting. You can't do that. That's illegal in a communist country. You can do that very much in the U.S. You can just, unless you have a contract, that's the only time you can't do that is when you have a contract. But you could just tell your boss, you know what, screw you, boss. You know, you're not paying me. You're refusing to give me a raise. I got another job lined up. I'm quitting. I'm walking out. You can do that. You can't do that in communist countries. And another thing is, what people don't know is that in every single communist country that has existed, there are two things illegal in communist countries that are very much legal in most Western democracies, most Western capitalist democracies. And that is, these are two essential workers' rights. The right to strike. Striking is forbidden in every single communist country. In every single communist country, you are not allowed to strike. Striking is a very much a worker's right. If you get pissed off at your management, if you get pissed off at your workplace, you don't think that your workplace is treating you fairly, you have the right to strike. Now, depending on where you are, sometimes if you don't have a union, you might get fired. That might happen. But you're not going to get arrested for it. You're not going to get arrested for striking. But in every single communist country, and you can look this up if you don't believe me, look it up. You could not strike in the Soviet Union. You'd get arrested for that. If you got pissed off at your factory, if you were working at some factory in the Soviet Union, and if this was like a really bad time period, like Stalin's time period, you were working in like a factory or a coal mine, and your coal mine factory did not have good working conditions, and you were working your butt off, and you were barely getting anything, and you said, you know what, screw this, let's organize, a worker strike, and you go outside and you strike, you're getting arrested. And the same communist Stalin that promised he's going to protect the workers' rights is going to send you to a gulag. So you are not allowed to strike in any kind of communist country. Soviet Union, China, North Korea, Cuba, Vietnam, Laos, Cambodia, Angola. I'm trying to think of all the communist countries that I could possibly list off. There's just so much more. But you are not allowed to strike. And the second thing that you are not allowed to do in a communist country, that is also a worker's right, is you are not allowed to organize in a union. Look that up too. Every single communist country that has existed, unions are banned. Every single communist country. There are no unions. There are no unions in the Soviet Union. There are no unions in China. Unions don't exist in any of those communist countries. They claim that they're for defending the workers' rights, but there are no unions in those countries. Why are there no unions in this? Do you know why there was no unions in the Soviet Union? You know why there wasn't? My parents grew up in a communist country in Poland, and I asked my mom, what did people say? What did the communist government say when people said, why are there no unions allowed? You know what the communist government in Poland would say? They would say the reason that there's no union allowed is because unions aren't needed, because the government protects your rights. They protect your right as a worker. The government is your union. That's what the government would say. So there's no need for a union. So you see, the government doesn't allow workers to organize in unions and doesn't allow them to strike. And these are supposed to be the paradise for the working class. That's what these communist countries are supposed to be. And when I was talking about cars earlier, do you know what the most successful communist country was? The richest communist country out of all of them? It was Yugoslavia. Yugoslavia. Out of all the communist countries in the world, Yugoslavia was the most successful one. Why was Yugoslavia successful? The reason Yugoslavia was successful was for two reasons. The first reason was Yugoslavia let their people leave. Yugoslavia didn't throw their people in a giant prison like East Germany did, or Poland, or Russia, or China. Is that if you wanted to leave Yugoslavia, you could leave. They were a communist country. They were a dictatorship, sure, but they let you leave. And the Yugoslavian passport was the strongest passport in the world. It was even stronger than the American passport because Yugoslavia traded with both the West and the Soviet Union. They kept good relations with both the West and the Soviet Union. The Soviet Union isolated themselves. They only traded with other communist countries. They didn't trade with capitalist countries. Yugoslavia traded with everyone. They traded with the East, and they traded with the West. And Yugoslavia exported their products. The Yugo, for example, was one of Yugoslavia's greatest inventions. It was a cheap car. It wasn't a car that would run well, but it was a car that everybody could afford. And that was a thing that Yugoslavia exported that all over the world, and Yugoslavia made a lot of money from that. And so innovation did help drive Yugoslavia. Yugoslavia, yes, technically still was a communist country, but they did innovation way better. They did innovation more like a capitalist country than they did than all the other communist countries. That's why Yugoslavia had the best living standards. Like, if out of all the communist countries, Yugoslavia was the best communist country to live in. And Yugoslavia was not a and I'm not saying that communism was a good thing. Also, you know, comparing like Western countries are still better countries to live in than Yugoslavia. But if you just compare all the communist countries out there, Yugoslavia was the one that had the best living standards to live in. And that was because they didn't throw their people in a giant prison, and it's because they actually traded with the West and they didn't isolate themselves like the Soviet Union did. So that's what it was. Yugoslavia, they knew how to trade. It's ironic because they knew how to trade. They were a communist country, but yet they were making so much money selling stuff. That's what's so ironic about Yugoslavia. They see here, but yeah, that's basically. I know I kind of summarized it a bit there, but that's basically why communism does not work. Is because it's just against human nature in general. Is because human nature, there's a drive for innovation. There's an incentive to work harder. If there is no incentive to work harder, if you don't get rewarded for doing something, why would you bother doing it? That's what happened. Is I talked to my parents what it was like in communism in Poland, and they told me that there was these big, you know, farms that were government operated, and what would basically happen was the workers for those farms had a specific quota to do every day. So the government would like tell the people that were working on the farms in communist Poland, they would tell them, oh, you know, collect this many crops, you know, cut this many crops in a day. And what would happen is when every single worker hit that quota, do you know what they did? They just went immediately in the farm fields and they started drinking and just laid there for the rest of the day. Did not do anything. Nothing whatsoever. They didn't keep going past the quota because there was no point. Because why would you do more work if you're not getting paid for it? You don't get anything extra. That's what people would just do the basics, whatever they had to do, and then they would just sleep in the fields and they would just drink vodka. And I don't even blame them because it's like, why should you work more? What you should, you know, work your butt off for nothing. So that's it. So imagine that if you work harder, you get more money. That would drive more incentive. But no, apparently money is evil in a communist country, in a communist system. So that's why, just in general, it is communism is just a failed ideology because it just assumes that everybody's gonna want to do things because they just want to do things. Not that there's any kind of incentive or there's gonna be any kind of drive for it. Let's see here. I'll be playing Bully this week. We'll be starting it. Oh, you're in Super Chat. I'm really sorry, Mr. Waifu. If people don't like me talking about like stuff like this, I'll tend to avoid it. But one person just asked me like, what if I think communism was like a good system? I had to think about that evil person. I'm good now. Okay, Mr. Waifu. But yeah, if you have somebody that's scams you, just best thing that you can do is just ignore them. You know, you move on from it and you don't deal with those people anymore. Bro, you gotta play Bully, man. Still waiting on it. I will play Bully soon. This month we'll be starting off a playthrough of it. Thoughts about the Cotton Massacre. Yes, that was one of the worst massacres that happened to Polish prisoners of war, but what I will say is I talked about how much of a disaster communism was, how much of a failure it is, but I didn't even mention all the murders. And that's the thing about this, that's another thing, is that you have all the murders. So I spent like half an hour talking to you guys about the basics of communism, why it doesn't work as an economic system, and I didn't even mention the murders. And the murders are just the worst part of it too. So that's on top of it too, is the brutality of these regimes, the authoritarianism is just disgusting. Let me see here. That's the first thing you said, what you mean? Well, I mean, I talked about it a little bit about the brutality of these regimes. But I was talking mostly about how it just doesn't work on an economic scale. But if you can, the thing is you can prove how much of a disaster communism is with just so many different arguments. You can talk about how much of an economic disaster it is, how it doesn't drive incentive, it doesn't drive innovation, and you can also talk about the brutality of these regimes because they just do so many things wrong constantly. You heard about Mizzy heading to prison? He's going to jail, but yes, I heard about that. I might do a video about that, actually. Let's see here. Do you think many communist countries go bankrupt from not having a source of money like innovation? Basically, the reason that a lot of communist countries go bankrupt is because the government runs everything, because they have to pay for all this stuff. Pretty much, the government is running everything. They don't allow any private industry. That's that Venezuela is pretty much on the steps of becoming a communist country. It's a socialist country technically, but it's on the steps of like becoming a communist country. The reason that Venezuela is so poor, the reason there's so much poverty in Venezuela, it's the Venezuelan government constantly says that it's because of the sanctions that's placed on it. While the sanctions definitely hurt Venezuela, sure, the sanctions are not the main cause of poverty in Venezuela. The main cause of poverty in Venezuela is because of the corruption, and it's also because the government nationalized everything. Literally, the government controls everything. They control all industry in Venezuela. They don't allow any investment. Nothing. It's just the government runs everything. That's like why it's such a disaster. And Venezuela actually has the most amount of oil in the world. And if Venezuela was better managed, if it had a better government, Venezuela could become an even bigger powerhouse than the United Arab Emirates. Like, it has more oil than the United Arab Emirates. And look at the United Arab Emirates. Like, they built Dubai. They built that with investment. Like they have a giant, one of the biggest, most fanciest modern cities in the world, tallest building in the world. If the Venezuelan government knew what they were doing, they could become the South American United Arab Emirates. But because they wanted to nationalize everything, it's a complete disaster. Look at it. Are communist countries taxed heavily? Yes, definitely. In communist countries, though, I believe that the government already takes all the taxes out of your paychecks. I actually don't think there's that much paperwork to do. But the government taxes you on basically not allowing you to make a certain amount of money. So you can't, the government tells you how much money you can make. That's pretty much a tax on that alone. What is religion like under communism? Typically, most communist countries have been state atheist, where they don't allow any other, they either don't allow other religions or they heavily discriminate against them. Thank you, Waltz Money. No, I don't know who that is, Mr. Coffee. Soup? What do you mean, the food? What do you think is better vehicle to buy for the workshop, Avenger or MOC? Avenger, because you can do the new San Andreas Mercenaries missions from it. Oh, Dahlia is one of the most evil Ace Attorney characters of all time. Oh, Astro Soup. Oh, I was a bit confused what you meant. I remember that guy. Like, years ago, he made, like, GTA videos. Then he disappeared. What I will say about Astro Soup, this is what I'll say about him. Is people keep doing all these annoying speculation videos, speculating where Astro Soup is, what is Astro Soup doing, why did Astro Soup delete his channel. What I will say about Astro Soup is, I don't know why he deleted his channel. I'm not one of those people that's gonna speculate. The only thing that I would say about Astro Soup is he probably wants to be left alone, but people aren't leaving him alone. Is if he probably, the reason that I think he wants to be left alone is because he would have come out and made like a second account, or made like a video or a tweet or something like that explaining what happened, but he didn't. And yet people keep, you know, trying to harass him, trying to contact him. So I would say that if he wants to be left alone, that's his choice. I wish the guy well. So whatever he does, but people keep doing all these speculation videos. Oh, this happened, and I'm like, give the guy a break. If the guy wants to be left alone, he wants to be left alone. Leave the guy alone. How evil is Ultor? I would put them on a scale of 10, or maybe 9 actually. But I'll do a video on that one day. Oh, he's a good guy, Mr. Coffee.
Hey, you my dude, right?
Here,
Ooh, sweet, cabale, ooh.
no, I don't think I remember him, Ian. If it was a few years ago, maybe I had interactions with him. Hey, professional, if your parents are Polish, does that mean you identify as Polish-American or an American with Polish heritage? Well, I have Polish Tatar heritage. So my heritage is Polish Tatar. What is it, I would say I identify as an American with Polish Tatar heritage. You know, I don't really like the term Polish American. I just personally like the term American. I just identify as American. I'm proud of my Polish, Polish Tatar ancestry, but I identify just primarily as American. That's just what I personally see it as, my thing, my view. He probably has made a new account but refused to let the community know. What do you think the content we will get for Christmas? I think this might be the last update this December. We're gonna see. Yeah, pretty much. You'll make your money back from it purified. I don't know much about the Metal Gear games, so I can't answer that. What would I choose? World War I Western Front, World War II Bastogne, or Vietnam War? World War II Bastogne. That is the Battle of the Bulge. Correct me if I'm wrong, right? Bastogne. The thing about that is the Battle of the Bulge was the biggest battle that America fought in Europe during World War II. But here's the thing about that. The other examples that you listed, Vietnam. Vietnam is just a very, that type of environment, the tropical heat, the jungles, all the traps, and then World War I, just the trench warfare. World War II Bastogne, you'd probably have the best chances of survival, because America's logistics was way better than Germany's logistics. Just their logistics alone. America's logistics alone, did the most damage to Germany during World War II. Because Germany's logistics was just a disaster. Well, especially near the end of the war.
Can't wait to catch the game at your place tomorrow.
So if you were in the American Army at the Battle of the Bulge, you have food. You're able to eat properly. What do you think is the best major to pursue? I think the best major to pursue is whatever major you think is best for you. Because what one person might say is the best major to pursue is going to be completely different than what somebody else says. Ultimately, it's whatever you personally think is the best for you, because it's what you want to do with your life. And also, sometimes the best major to pursue might be no major at all. Because who says that you need a major to be successful in life? Plenty of people are successful without a major, too. No, I'm probably just gonna spend time with my family at Thanksgiving. I'm gonna have a really cool video for you guys tomorrow. I hope you guys like it. I don't talk about religion, though,
Yes.
Razavi. I tend to stay away from religion on my streams. Religion is just a everyone just has different views on it, and it's just no matter what you say, somebody's gonna get upset.
Yeah, what's cracking?
Yes, visiting family in New York right now. What was the worst battle of World War II? Stalingrad. Okay, yeah, Indonesia did have a few revolutions, I know about that. Plant operator? Well, it's whatever works for you. It depends, obviously, what kind of plant, but... I did drive again, but this is the last time I'll be driving that distance. I'm only going to take planes in the future. No, I didn't miss your super chat, Dark Soul. I read it. I talked about the Major. I talked about it. Thank you for the super chat. And thank you, Waltz Money, earlier also. I saw your video on the, I saw your comment on the video about the insurance agents getting schooled by the roofer. All that one. Yeah, that comment got really popular. I remember that one too. Right, I said that insurance companies aren't your friend. I remember that. Oh, just send me a message then, Mark, and I'll read it a little bit later. Raging Scammer call video tomorrow? No, it's gonna be up on the weekend. That's when I'll have it. Which version are you doing, Bully? I'm gonna play the PC version. Bully, I'm gonna do the Steam version, the scholarship one. Is that the best? Is the Steam version of Bully? Is that one okay, guys? Is that one okay to do? Is there any problems with the PC version of Bully? Bully on PC is fine. If the Venezuelan government wasn't so corrupt, they could definitely become an economic powerhouse. The Venezuelan government is honestly, it honestly just, it's so sad. Because Venezuela is literally sitting on a gold mine. Like one of the largest gold mines in the world. And I'm not talking actual gold. Like I said earlier, Venezuela has the most amount of oil in the world. Venezuela has more oil than Saudi Arabia. That's true. It has more oil than Alaska. It has the most amount of oil out of any country in the world. And if that government actually knew what they were doing, they could become the richest country in South America. They could become an economic powerhouse. They could top Brazil. But the government is just so corrupt, and it's just so incompetent, that it's just so poor because of it. It's not, it's, the sanctions, sure, the sanctions hurt to a degree, but the main reason, Venezuela would still be really poor even without the sanctions. Xbox version, PC version, PlayStation. Oh, okay, Greatest Within. This is the first time I see you stream on a Wednesday. Well, I didn't get to stream last Sunday, so... I'm about 6 feet, Assad. Hey, Pro, even though you didn't really like the Modern Warfare 3 story, still thinking about doing the multiplayer and zombie stream? Yeah, I could still do that. Yeah. Okay, guys, okay, guys, I guess I'll be going here then. Thank you guys for hanging out with me, and I hope that you guys enjoyed the stream. It's my birthday. Oh, happy birthday, Kiss. Hope that you have a great birthday. And, thank you, General's Alert. Yeah, we're fine, Mr. Waifu. Here. Thank you, Greatest Within. Yeah, I was mad at the Modern Warfare 3 campaign. I will be, I will be doing a video on the, reviewing the Modern Warfare 3 campaign, too. Helps pass the time at work, we are allowed to watch. Oh, I'm glad I helped you out. Another settlement needs your help, bro. The funny thing about that is, I'm actually doing a playthrough of Fallout 4, again, not on my channel. Maybe I'll do a playthrough on my channel again, on my channel one day. But, when I was doing a playthrough of Fallout 4, I beat the story of Fallout 4 years ago. I did, but I never played the DLCs. I never played the, Far Harbor and the Nuka World. And, what happened was when I was playing the Nuka World, I became the Raider boss, and I actually liked the Nuka DLC. That's actually, it's probably my favorite Fallout DLC so far. I like it, just the fact that you can manage the raiders and you can, like, take over settlements. That's what I really like that. Oh, well, Colonel Alendi is the scummiest character in Mexico chapter in Red Dead. Hope you, have some good pumpkin pie. Thank you, Sleep Punch, man. Thanks, man. Okay. I guess we'll be going here, guys, then. Thank you guys for, thank you guys for watching. I hope that you guys enjoyed the stream. If you did, do drop a like, and I will see you guys on the next one. Take care, everyone. And again, everyone, happy Thanksgiving. Have a great day. Take care, everyone.